What is up, good people? It's your girl Nikki P. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who have been following me, welcome back to my channel where I am sharing my journey of creating my best life and learning how to stop just dreaming about it and to actually start living it. So today's video is kind of like a not a life update necessarily, but more of like a monthly review. We are now officially out of the month of April. We are in May. And May is a month that for my whole life, May has been like my favorite month. And I'm not entirely sure why, because I have hay fever. And usually May is the worst month. It is the absolute worst month for me for pollen and, all the shenanigans. As you notice the background of me, after I just said all that, I'm sitting in a park. And what do you see? Trees with pollen. What is wrong with you, girl? But yeah, I kind of wanted to take this time to like review my April goals and talk a little bit about my May goals. And yeah, that's basically what we're going to do. So let me just start with like my overall goals, because I actually am not sure if I've ever really talked about like each of the categories that I go through. So usually when I goal set quarterly, monthly, and weekly, and usually in the categories of spirituality, fitness, finance. Try to make sure I remember all of them. My business, love and social relationships, and I think that's everything. What did I name? About 5? I think that's everything. So in April, some wins that I had in April were, particularly in my business, I actually made like very significant progress in my digital product creation. I brainstormed a few different things and I finally came up with products that felt aligned with my brand and felt like aligned with who I was. I didn't want to just create products just for the sake of creating products and making money. I actually wanted to do things that fell in line with who I am and things that I will use myself and things that I am using myself. And so I think that I made significant progress with those. I feel like financially I had a win because I have been paying more attention to my investments and being more intentional about what I invest. And I saw a nice increase as far as how what they're worth now versus what they were when I bought them. And I I felt good about it. Even with the craziness of the market, it's up, this many points, it's down this many points, it's flip-flopping, doing crazy stuff. But I actually like looked at just a 30-day period and I was like, I had a nice increase, and it was just a reminder to myself that you can make money in various ways. And so just having that affirmation and confirmation, like, it just really felt good. I also, another goal that I have in my finances is I am becoming debt free. I am paying off my student loan this year. Like, I've been out of college for a while, y'all. Like, there's no reason for me to still have this loan. And so every month I have been putting a significant amount towards the balance, and I did that this month. And just watching the balance go down further and further, and knowing that I am so close to the end of this, like, I just felt very good about that. So those are some of my April wins. Also, I started something that I already shared in my last video, but something that I decided to start doing in April is having what I'm calling my social experiences. And I have it in a video series called Social Diaries. And basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to be more intentional about going out and really enjoying my life. And some of that is involving, preparing myself for dating and for love. I am like intentionally looking for different activities to do. And now that the weather has finally decided to stay warm, there's no shortage of activities for me. So I am going into every month and specifically choosing different experiences that I want to have. And I'm doing pretty good with it. In April, I did a few things. I took a self-defense class. Now I'm already trained in self-defense, but it was more about taking a class and experiencing. It was a different art, a different discipline than what I'm trained in. And it was just about meeting new people. I did a singles mixer in DC where it was wonderful because one of my favorite things to do is to network and meet different people. And so I really had a ball, like just going into this place and actually getting to meet different types of people. Because a lot of times when you go to singles events, or at least in my experience when I've gone to singles events, it's filled with women, not enough men. And it gets very frustrating, to keep walking into that. But going here and seeing that it was a nice and active crowd of people, very diverse. I am very big on diversity, so I just love walking into a room and just seeing people of different ethnicities, different age groups. I talk to everybody. Like, I talk to men and I talk to women. And it was just a fun experience. And so I want to create more of those opportunities in my life. So the fact that I started this and was very intentional about how I'm spending my social time, I felt very good about that. So those were just a few of my April wins. Now let's get into May goals. So let's first talk about the books that I'm reading. So I also have a goal of every month at least listening to one book that is self-improvement. And just recently I decided to add an additional book because as much as I love like improving myself, I also want to read a story just for the point of reading a story. I am like, the type of books that I love, the type of stories that I love are fantasy books. I love series like The Mortal Instruments. That is my absolute favorite series. I cannot wait for Cassandra Clare to come out with her next book series. I'm still waiting, Cassandra. But anything that falls along those lines. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I like magic. I like people that have like different abilities, superpowers, if you will, things like that. And so I want to kind of read an additional book every month that falls in that genre. And so for my personal improvement book this month, I am going to be listening to, what is the name of this book? Relationship Roadmap by Stephen Chandler. Who is a local pastor to the DMV area, but he is well known throughout pretty much everywhere because he's known on YouTube. Oh, sorry for my hand, but I had to switch because my hand is hurting. I had to shift a little bit. So that is the book that I'm listening to this month. And then also, I decided to go back and reread the Darkest Mind series. And so last month I read the first book in that series, and this month I'm going to read the second book in that series. So those are my two books for May. And let me see. Okay, spirituality goals. My spirituality goals tend to stay pretty consistent. I basically just want to have a consistent practice, a consistent time of dedication to my spiritual side. This for me includes meditation. This includes listening to a message that resonates with me. That pretty much is my spiritual goal. I think in this quarter in general, what I would like to find is a spiritual community. And it looks like it's about to rain, so I'm just going to close that window there so that I don't get soaked. But yes, back to spirituality. I think that I just want to focus on just having a community of people and not just doing this walk on my own. There are some things that are very personal and private to me, but this is still a journey that I want to share with other people. And so that's spirituality. Business goals, I will continue to finalize the products that I've been working on. I am rebranding, which you will see. I will be launching that in quarter 3, so you'll start seeing a little more consistency across the board with how I appear on social media. So I've been working on that. So my business goals are basically, I'm kind of in this space of really solidifying the groundwork for what I'm about to launch for the remainder of this year. And so that's been my business. Those are my business goals. Finances, I'm still doing the same thing, still putting down a significant amount toward my student loan. I am slated to pay that off. I believe at this point I should be able to pay it off by September. And if I review my finances at the end of this quarter and I find that I can allocate more money to it, it'll be before September. Because I'm not playing this year. You have gotten enough out of me. That is enough. I am done. And finance is just continuing to stick with my investing and just sticking to that. So that's my finances. In the area of fitness, I feel like I didn't really do well with fitness in this past quarter, and I will tell you that as much as I'm in the gym, where I do struggle is in my nutrition. I there, as a woman, there are certain times of month where my cravings go up, and I find that I struggle in my discipline to keep to the nutritional plan that I set. So one of the things that I'm doing differently for the month of May is I found a video. I happened to stumble upon a video. I actually wasn't looking for it, but I came across this video where there's this guy who is who's talking about losing fat, and that is where my fitness journey is right now. I'm not necessarily trying to lose weight. I probably will, but that's not the goal. I'm really trying to swap out my body fat percentage for my muscle growth. That's really what I'm trying to do. And so when I say I don't feel like I did well this past month, it is because my body fat percentage actually went up a little bit, and my muscle growth just feels like it's stagnant. And so that's a little frustrating to me. So I'm going to implement this there's a 14-day specific workout with a nutrition guide. I am going to implement that, and then for the other 2 weeks I am going to just shift my strength training a little bit. I'm going to just make sure that I am consistently adding weight and bulking up. I do want to tone, but there's no point in me toning if the muscle growth is not there. So in order for me to get the muscle to grow, I do have to bulk up a little bit. So I'm going to steadily increase the amount of weights that I'm lifting. And I am now going to do, for every strength training day, I am working out I'm doing a full body workout. Before I was trying to separate it, arms versus legs versus core, push and pull this day, like push this day, pull that day. No, I have an exercise for every body part, and I'm going to do that, and then I will just consistently increase my weights. So those are my fitness goals. Spanish, I have to talk out loud more. That is the part that I'm struggling with the most. I can understand it being spoken. I can read it. Even my writing is getting better, but speaking it out loud, I have to be more consistent with how I speak. And so for this month, those are my focus points. And also, I'm going to take a B1 level exam, and I want to pass it so that I can officially say that I am at a B2 level by the end of this month. So those are Spanish goals. And last but not least, for my social / love and relationship goals, I will continue with the social experiences. I already have a whole list of different activities that I want to try for May. And I also want to, I said that I was intentionally putting more energy toward dating. So I've been doing different weekly challenges to just kind of encourage myself in that area, different flirting techniques, or just just ways to kind of drop into my feminine more, to just kind of show up in spaces more, and doing solo dates. Solo dates are also part of this experience. And so that is what I will be doing in the love and social and dating category. Now, I also want to talk about how I feel like my mindset has shifted, not just from April into May, but just how this year is going overall. The first thing that I'm realizing that I am shifting in, that I've realized, is that this life thing really is a journey. And it's not that I didn't know that before, but I think that I'm really experiencing it differently. I feel like I've really like internalized the meaning that life really is a journey, and that it really is a step by step thing, that you don't jump from 0 to 100. Like for me, a lot of times, one of the things that makes it hard for me to celebrate myself is that when I set these goals, I'm always looking at the end goal. And so when I don't see, when I'm measuring where I'm at in relation to the end, and when I don't see that I'm at that end, it's hard for me to really see that there's been progress, because I'm jumping from 0 to 100. I'm not looking back at the fact that, you started here and now you're here, and you may not be there, but you're also not back there. So instead of being at 100, maybe you're at 20, but you're not at 0. So there was improvement. And so I think that I'm understanding more and more that everything doesn't have to be this, the 0 to 100. Even my journey in walking away from my corporate job and fully making money, on my own, that it doesn't have to be just, I have now made enough money and I can now quit. There are steps in between that I can get to a point where, I made 20% of my yearly income through other means. I am now at 50% of my income coming from other sources. If I'm at 50%, maybe I can drop down to part-time work. It doesn't have to just be from, I'm working full-time, to I'm not working at all. Like, it doesn't have to be that. And so I think that that's the biggest mind shift that's been happening for me this whole year, and continuing to develop, because I do still struggle with that mindset of, yeah, but I'm not over there yet. I do still struggle with that, but I find that I am becoming more gracious with myself and understanding that progress is being made. All of that to say that progress is being made. And so the last thing I'll talk about is, there's some new routines that I have just added to my morning and my evening routine, which I think has made a difference. And I just really started it a couple of weeks ago, so I'm really going to see how it continues to make a difference. My morning routine is set up to set intention for the day, and my evening routine is to settle down, quiet down, and get ready to go to sleep so that I can be fresh for my next day. And so for my morning routine, I added something that is called mirror work. Now, every day I write empowerment affirmations in my journal, but I don't usually say them out loud to myself. And that's what mirror work is. So now when I'm in the bathroom, when I'm getting ready and, doing my face and doing whatever, I now look in the mirror and I read a section off of the, my 2 to 5 year empowerment statement that I have written, and framed in my bathroom. So I read the last line of it and look in the mirror at myself and say that every day. And then for my evening routine, I've actually started doing, I just started writing my prayers down. And that's been prayer for me has been a little difficult, because I my faith has changed, and because my faith changed, I don't really know how to pray since I'm not praying the same. And so prayer like looks a little different to me now. And so I wasn't really praying per se, but last month I made the decision to actually start writing down prayers, which I'm just calling the desires of my heart, and when I'm holding space for people. So now if there are people that I know are going through certain things, I'll just write holding space for, and I'll write out who that is, and I'll write out what they're going through. And then for myself, I just speak life to the different desires that I have, for the things that I am working on, for the things that I'm still waiting to appear in my life. And so that's been a different practice for me. And all of these things, just this is all part of me creating my best life. You know, I am just very intentional about showing up every day and really doing my best to be in alignment with who I am. And even though my life is not exactly where I want it to be, it is not exactly where I thought it would be at this stage of my life and this season of my life, but I am still determined to show up every day and align with who I am and how I dress, and even going into a job that I still am very much being myself. It is very important to me to not turn into somebody that I'm not for the sake of getting a paycheck. And that's what I was doing before. When I was in people pleasing mode, you know, you go into work, you have to dress a certain way, you're expected to talk a certain way. And I'm not knocking anybody who does this. I'm not, you know, do you. But for me, it's just so important for me to always feel like I'm being who I am. I don't do well with not recognizing myself. Even with how I dress, I may have to dress more corporate, but even with the way that I dress, I still got to be me. How I wear my jewelry, how, you know, I have a lot of tattoos. I'm going to tell you what, I'm not covering my tattoos. I didn't get them to be covered. I'm not covering my tattoos. And thankfully, I haven't been really put in a position where anybody has called me out for them, because they out here. Like, they're not, even when I wear, they're all out now because I don't have sleeves on. But even when I wear longer, like, sleeves, you can always see at least one or two of them. I didn't get them to be hidden. So even when I go into work and the way that I dress and the jewelry that I put on, all of that still needs to feel very aligned with my actual, true, authentic self. And so as long as I am showing up every day and I am being myself and I am making consistent progress to the life that I am building. Again, I start the video every time and saying that I am living my dream life and not just dreaming about it. Like, I am past the point where I will just sit and like, oh, you know, I wish I could. I may not be able to do everything right at this second. It doesn't mean that I can't do anything. And so I'm really determined to show up really every day authentically to me. So that is it. I have been on this video for a long time and I'm hungry right now. So I'm about to go. I'm about to go and get some food. And yeah, so thank you for listening to me rant and rave about my my April progress and my May, you know, process with my goals. And I hope all of you have a beautiful and spectacular day. Live bold, live free, live authentically. I'll see you the next time. It's your girl, Nikki P.